if leaders play an even more important role in the hybrid environment than the in-person environment and have to be more intentional about how they approach the inclusivity, the psychological safety factors, how they build in the opportunity for people to demonstrate managerial courage while taking into account all of the uniqueness and preferences of everyone. So I've worked with a lot of organizations that continue to experiment with a hybrid work environment and learn and tweak. And I think the key with keeping people engaged is what's right for your organization and the people in it, which we're going to talk about a little bit more as we continue the conversation.
I've seen some success too in focusing on meetings because meetings are a universal activity, our number one collaboration task or endeavor. And so when you focus on meetings, all of the differences in people, their preferences and their styles of communication, it all kind of comes out in an observable area. So one of the things that I think is interesting is that most meetings that occur in organizations, people don't receive coaching that much on how it went if they were the person that arranged the meeting. It's just we move on to the next meeting. So I think there's a lot of value in getting some quick feedback on the quality of the meeting.
Brian, you raised an interesting point about one key challenge, a disconnect between executive leadership wanting in person and others who want remote.
I think part of it is company culture and corporate culture. So what I say I'm gonna generalize, but I think there's absolutely a perception that is generational, that amazing business happens around the water cooler while walking to and from getting coffee or to and from the restroom. And I think there's opportunity to engage and build relationships in person that are different and perhaps in some ways more challenging when it's remote, but not impossible. People just need to make the effort differently. And I've seen leaders get very creative about how to do that, kind of management by walking around, through the ether as opposed to in person.
This is just, I guess, more of a comment and a thought is I think we spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to make the virtual environment the same as the physical environment. And the reality is it's just not. It's just not the same. So the idea of the creativity that we need to bring and the effort that's there, it's going to be more. And I think that sometimes that is something where we're just like, oh, we're going to make it seem as though it's the same, but it's not. So we provide new hire orientation both virtually and in person. We have some folks that do need to come virtually because they are not physically located in Wisconsin. So, but what does that experience look like? And how can we ensure that the experience is the same or that the feeling that they get is the same, even if they're doing it in a different way?
There's so much to think about when you think about a hybrid strategy and preparation, just like anything. If you can get ahead of it, it's likely to result in something better. I think getting buy-in from senior leadership is so important. And if you don't get the buy-in, it continues to be a battle. And it's, as Rich and I were talking earlier this week, it really is that tension oftentimes between leaders or human resources and the senior or executive leaderships that may be generational. It may be the way that they look at the business. It may be how they're defining culture within their organization that is tying them to people being in person. But how can you get buy-in, even from one person on the senior team, to help with that communication?
When we think about what Shelley was saying about getting leadership buy-in, if we can get them to understand, or if we can all begin to understand that there's a gap in people knowing how to do their job, and specifically how to do their job well in a hybrid workplace. And in preparing for today, I saw in a Gallup article that only 21% of workers and 28% of managers have gotten any training on how to be effective in a hybrid environment. That's a huge opportunity for